Wait, are you all ready to get started? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So my name is Leah. I'm a dietitian, diabetes educator. I work out of the endocrine clinic at Stanford. So if you come here at Stanford, you'll probably see my face sometimes. So I specialize in diabetes because I got my CDE. And so today we're going to focus on looking at labels and then also really do a whole presentation thinking about one change we want to make. So at the end of the presentation, we want to try to make at least one goal to think about changing our health. So next slide. So I want you to think about how do you see yourself in maybe like the next month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, maybe differently regards to your health. Do you see yourself differently? Do you see yourself more fit because you're in the study? Do you see yourself, your blood sugar is lower? Do you see your diet changing? Kind of how do you visualize yourself? Or do you kind of think maybe there's not going to be a change? What do you all think?
There should be a change.
Okay, so there should be a change.
Because that's the reason why we came here all the way, right? So
yes.
we did some change.
I was assuming everyone was motivated.
Yes.
You braved the traffic for this. So how do you all see yourself in maybe 3 months? Like, what do you think? For anyone? Yes.
I don't want to eat rice.
Okay. So
Main goal for me.
So your goal maybe is not eating rice. Okay. What other? How do you guys see yourself differently? Yes.
Maybe in 6 months. I mean, I think in more time I can really get my goal.
Okay. So in 6 months, having maybe a more solidified goal for health. Excellent. What other ways do you all see yourself in 6 months, 3 months?
Working out more.
Okay. Putting working out into making it a habit. Excellent. What other things? What about over here? What do you
It's a
all think?
regular exercise.
Yes.
In 6 months, hopefully having lost enough weight to qualify for that gastric bypass that they talked about last time. That was a revelation to me that they get those kind of results and remissions.
Okay.
I talked to after last month's presentation, I talked to my physician and she said, you're probably ideal, but it's a long process to go through that. Qualify for that and be educated on that. So,
Okay, excellent. So in the next 6 months, really thinking about losing weight to get a procedure. Excellent. Who else? Yes.
I just started about 2 weeks ago, like I have to go to the gym 3 times.
Mm-hmm. For the study, yes.
Yeah, but now I'm trying to enjoy it, have fun, pick the right program, try to make fun of it.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So even in the next week, making the workouts fun. So seeing yourself enjoying working out. Maybe over here making a habit and enjoying at the same time. Everybody can kind of see that. Anyone else want to share?
Working with children is both, but working with the group team, group people, then that will be fun.
Yeah.
So definitely you'll get motivated, that's for sure.
Okay. So maybe even after tonight, so not even in 3 months or the next month, but maybe after tonight, really leaving tonight feeling really motivated to make a change. Because you're doing it as a group. You guys are a cohort going through the study, but also hopefully making friends and enjoying it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this slide I just kind of wanted to acknowledge that there are a lot of different ways and paths that we can take to make our goals. So I'm a dietitian, so I focus a lot on food and what we eat and changing behaviors around that. But people attack those at different ways. So I have some people who come in and they're like, after today I'm going through my pantry and I'm changing things. I'm giving away food or throwing things away. Some people come to me and say, I want to think about one meal once a week, and that's where I can start. Some people think about adding snacks, but I want to acknowledge that there's lots of different pathways, and the more we're finding out about nutrition and diabetes and lifestyle change, the more we're realizing that everybody has a different path, and they're all okay and they're all great. So before we used to think, okay, if people eat this one way, it'll be perfect for everybody. But now we know some people are vegan, some people are vegetarian, some people love to eat meat and they eat a lot of meat. Some people eat a lot of carbs or a little amount of carbs. And in the end, everybody can manage their blood sugars and have healthy outcomes. So the pathway can be different. We do have some fundamentals, but that we try to focus on, like eating vegetables at every meal, but the paths can be different. So just kind of putting that thought out there. So everybody can have their own unique goal. And I think the more we're learning about different people, the more we're thinking about this concept of precision medicine and treating different people a little bit differently versus everybody as just one person. And I really, really like that philosophy. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I have some examples of things as we're thinking about goals that we might want to go through and think about. So, for example, if you want to think about reducing your blood pressure, these are kind of some things that we know influence. The path that you take to make these changes may be different, but we do know these are evidence-based and they will help reduce your blood pressure. Is there anyone here that has been thinking about, or their doctors maybe have been telling them about blood pressure? Yeah? Anyone else? I put this up there because people had also asked about sodium reduction when I was thinking about making this presentation. So I wanted to highlight. So thinking about, we have some new blood pressure guidelines. So these are the new ones as of this past year, and they're a little bit more aggressive. I will let you know, so at Stanford, they have this concept called population health. So one of our nurses works in population health, and they did this study where they had people come into their appointment, they took their blood pressure right away. It was high, typically, and then they had them sit, talked about something fun, had them relax and deep breaths, and they rechecked, and a lot of them were back in the normal range. So your blood pressures fluctuate throughout the day. If I ran up and I scared you, your blood pressure would probably rise, or if you were in lots of traffic coming here or something, but now that you're all seated and relaxed, it's probably coming back down. But if you are really interested about reducing your blood pressure, thinking about having a blood pressure cuff at home to measure when you're more relaxed and then kind of in a happier place can be more helpful versus when you're at the clinic, it's more stressful. But is anyone thinking about maybe kind of targeting a lowering blood pressure goal? Is that something you guys are interested in? Yeah? Okay. Did any of these resonate with you? So reducing your sodium. And we'll tie this all back in through the presentation. Being more active, like in the study, reducing your stress, or losing weight.
But the
All of them?
blood pressure, as you mentioned earlier, right? When I went into see a doctor, right? The nurse comes and takes the blood pressure. It will be like 140 BF. And then after that, 10-15 minutes, I'll ask them to recheck it. Everything comes normal. Mm-hmm. Is there something like an anxiety kind of thing there, or what?
Yeah, it might be more stress, however you're coming to your appointment. That's why doctors recheck blood pressure. That's why they don't always go with the first number. Yeah. So sometimes if my patients are elevated when they first come in, we'll have a conversation, and at the end of the appointment, someone will pop back in and recheck. Mm-hmm. And so the doctors are kind of looking at that, but they're looking at trends. So I'm not a physician, but if you really want to ask your doctor if they really want to target blood pressure, you should have a conversation with them and say, do you really feel like my blood pressure is chronically elevated? Or is it just when I'm coming to the office? And whatever their answer is, I would defer to your primary care doctor.
So this is all, I just recently noticed that I didn't know that. I think I have normal blood pressure, but when I go to the Fitness 24, I'm almost late, running through and changing everything. And then all of a sudden, the blood pressure becomes 140. I'm like, whoa, ever since I'm a high blood pressure person, and now I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, you can recheck. And if you're really worried, you can always ask to get prescribed a blood pressure machine for home and monitor at home when you're in your own environment. Yes.
It's been kind of a shock lately that for a long time we were hearing between 130 and 140 was normal and even desirable, and now all of a sudden I'm looking here and it says elevated is 120. And,
it's just highlighting as elevated. It's not really putting it into a stage yet, but these are the new recommendations. You can ask your primary care doctor about them. I try to update my presentations to be as new as possible. But if the numbers are something that's lower than you're used to, just talk to your primary care provider and ask them, because they're responsible for managing your blood pressure. unless you go to like a kidney doctor, might also manage your blood pressure. But for the most part, primary care.
Recently, 2 days back, I spoke to my cousin in India, she's a doctor. When I said about this 140, oh, don't worry about it. Like, they'll ask you to take medication, don't take anything. That's normal. But I don't know how that is, universally valid statement. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, still, I would just, everybody practices a little differently. This is just a new standard, but I would still have a conversation because they know your full medical record. Yes.
No, I just wanted to say, if you guys want a blood pressure machine and you don't have one, email your coordinator and we'll send you guys one.
Oh, that's awesome.
If you don't have a blood pressure machine and you want one, email the coordinators that work with you guys and we'll send you one.
That's good.
Oh my goodness.
Either Mayo, Sonia, Sorrel, any of
We're
these
gonna get
guys.
healthy yet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mayo has all the keys.
Maybe you get more blood pressure seeing regularly. Think about it.
That's amazing. There's a lot of benefits to being in studies then for your health. Yes.
What's the blood pressure ratio difference between right arm and then left arm?
That's probably a doctor question. I'm not fully sure. I mean, it should be very similar, but you can ask your provider.
I've not seen any.
I know more like standing and sitting makes a difference, but I'm not sure about arm to arm. Okay, so these are kind of, if you're thinking about reducing your blood pressure, these are kind of your 4 things, top things to think about. The weight loss also is not huge. It's like 7% of your total body weight. It's fine. Okay, so the second one that I was thinking people might be interested in is considering losing weight. Has anyone ever seen this plate?
Yes.
Yes? Have you also seen the one, the My Plate, that has fruits and vegetables and grains on it? Okay. Yeah, so this is actually the plate that I like to really recommend and talk about because what do you notice about this plate versus the My Plate?
So mine is entirely different, opposite.
Okay.
More vegetables.
More veggies? Okay, so this plate has a lot more vegetables. What else do you all notice about it?
It's 9 inches.
It's 9 inches. What's a normal plate?
It's not 10, 12, 11 inches, right? Those are,
It's like 12. Yeah.
that's a small plate.
It's a small plate. It's actually probably the size of the usable space on your plate. So if you're not counting the rims of these plates, the usable space is 9 inches. It's not that small.
Yeah, but carbohydrates only, the scratch is very little here.
A quarter of your plate.
Yes.
But do you consider your fruit a carbohydrate? Who says fruit's a carbohydrate? Raise your hand. Who says fruit's not a carbohydrate? Raise your hand. Who says they're not sure?
Beans with rice.
Yeah, that's beans with rice. So I would say fruit is a carbohydrate. So fruit has carbohydrates. Like if we're looking at the term carbohydrates, it's the overall umbrella. Sugar falls into that, fructose, lactose, all those things. Fiber falls into the carbohydrate umbrella.
It's not a starch.
Yeah, starches fall under the carbohydrate umbrella, but these would be more considered starches, your rice and beans, but your fruit. So if you don't want to have any fruit, you could have a little bit more portion of your carbohydrates. Say you love, well, you're giving up rice, but say you love like beans or lentils or something like that, you can have double the portion, but then not your fruit. You can adapt your plate. What else do you notice about this plate? Yes?
The glass of vodka in the upper right.
Yeah. That would add a lot of extra calories to your plate. The water.
Yeah, but that meal would be great.
What else do you guys notice?
And we have things that is a C vitamin, right?
Water.
Water?
No, not water, but the fruit, okay, that is fruit, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an orange, half an orange.
And then protein, you have 1/4.
Yes. What? Pardon? No, I think the plate is 9 inches.
9 inches?
Yes, as long as you don't go past the rim. The usable space on the plate, I believe, is 9 inches. I think it's 9. We agree it's 9. What else do you notice about this plate? Do you feel like it's a healthy plate? Yeah? Is it something that you would eat? Yeah? Who says no?
It's too much.
Okay, if you say no, why? Why no?
I can try.
I don't like rice.
I cannot.
Okay, don't like rice. So you switch out different carbs. Who else says no?
Try, madam. I cannot say no. I can try.
Try?
Yeah.
Someone over there said no in the back.
Too much veggie.
Too much veggies! I'm so glad that you said that. Notice though that some of the veggies are cooked, some are raw, so you have different textures, different colors. Makes it more of a colorful plate.
Yeah.
So if this is too many vegetables, thinking about maybe starting with less, but increasing over time. Vegetables are great for your heart, your blood pressure, your health, all those things. Your colon, your gut. But everybody starts at a different place. But this is kind of the plate. Whenever I'm thinking about my meals, everyone always asks me, what do you eat? I always try to keep this in mind. Okay, and so the things that I thought about for losing weight.
Rice?
What? Oh, beans and rice mixed together. Yeah. So I was thinking about first, thinking about eating less calories. So you can actually eat more volume of food and lose weight, but the calories have to be less. For example, say I had like a cheeseburger and french fries. Say my meal was like probably around like 1,200 calories for my cheeseburger and my french fry container. But say I ate a meal like this. This meal is probably like 400 calories-ish. But I'm having probably more volume of food, or I could add in more vegetables, even more. And I would have a significantly larger volume, but a third of the calories, or maybe a little bit less, more than a third, but still feel full, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have less volume when we're thinking about less calories, but eating things like less fried foods, less eating out, less high-fat foods are ways to kind of get less calories. Oftentimes I will go through with patients and we'll look at different menus, like when they're planning on going out. For example, like I was looking at Panda Express the other day. So doing a Panda Express meal ends up being, even though it seems like one portion, it's upwards of like 1,800 calories sometimes, depending on what you order, and a lot of carbohydrates. So things like that, when we're thinking about fried foods, for example, and really high-fat foods when we eat out, those raise our blood sugar and keep our blood sugar higher longer. So if you eat fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and gravy for dinner, even 8 hours later, your fasting blood sugar will be higher. So if you go do a lab test and you eat that meal before, your fasting blood sugar in the morning might be a little higher on the panel. Versus if you eat a meal like this, like that's not going to stay in your bloodstream as long. Because fat tends to also increase our insulin resistance, and fat can also kind of keep the carbs in our system a little bit longer.
How many calories you should have for a meal?
Variable for everybody.
Generally, normally,
Normally I'd say like 500. Yeah, it's great. Yes.
You didn't put any nuts in it.
Oh, you could add nuts. You could add some nuts if you want, like on your salad, or like some slivered almonds on your broccoli. Yeah.
What dessert?
Dessert? This
They're
is
orange.
considered the dessert. But you could also have a small portion of something else. Yeah.
If you have a meal that's a bit naughty like breakfast, and you just have ham and eggs or an omelet or something like that. How do you feel about following that with the Metamucil drink? Get the fiber there. Is that
I mean, I can see where that would make sense. So sometimes when we think about when we're trying to kind of work the system, like using a supplement of fiber rather than eating the veggies, it doesn't always work the way that we really want it. I don't think that it would overly make a big benefit on reducing your cholesterol at that one time, but I mean, you can do it. I don't think it would make a big difference, especially if you're only doing it like a couple times a week. It's probably fine. But if you're eating meals like that every day, it still is going to raise your cholesterol.
what if, irrespective of what I'm eating, what if I have a Metamucil drink every day?
You could do that. I would say Metamucil, you want to look for ones that have no added sugar. You can do that if you're worried, like maybe you don't have regular bowel movements or something like that. Other than that, I would recommend just focusing more on veggies, because then you get all the nutrients and all the minerals instead of just taking the fiber part, unless you need it for some other reason. Otherwise, I would say it's not necessarily needed. It's just another supplement. Like people always ask me if they should do protein shakes. Most people don't need protein shakes, so you can have them if you really want them, but most people don't actually need them. Yeah. So a lot of people too in the US, I think, especially right now, are really focused on the question was, what if you don't eat any meat? I mean, you can still have protein shakes if you want, but most people, their recommended amount of protein is not very high, like 60 maybe to 70 grams of protein in a whole day. So it's not overly high. Some people, like bodybuilders, like to say you should have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is a lot of protein. So I would go more by the 0.6 or 0.8, yes. Yeah.
Talking about rice, if reducing rice, eating rice, using bean as a substitute, what do you think? Is a good choice?
Yeah, so thinking about, if you want to reduce rice, using bean as a substitute. So when you look at beans, they're lower in carbohydrates and higher in fiber than rice. So that would be a great choice. Yeah, they have a lot more, they're more complex. They have a lot more fiber. So that would be great if you like them.
Any kind of bean, or do you have any suggestion, certain kind of bean?
Every kind of bean. Every kind of bean and lentil. Okay. Every kind. All are excellent. Yes, I saw you.
There are different type of rice too. What are the differences according to like the?
Yeah, I would say, so there's different grains of rice. There's also different ways to prepare the rice. So I would say that whole grain rice is better, so brown rice in general. Sometimes like basmati rice is a little bit has less residual starch. It's a little bit lower in carb by like maybe 5 grams, not that much, versus like sticky rice or like Thai sticky rice. It's a little bit more dense. Sushi, like if you like to go out and eat sushi, they add vinegar and sugar to their rice before they put in the rolls. So that's also after the rice has been cooked, it's already sticky, and then you add extra sugar. So that's going to raise your blood sugar a lot more. A lot of the people that I work with find their blood sugars are the highest after they go and eat Japanese food because they don't realize the rice has extra sugar. They think they're just having rice and protein, and so people get confused why that's happening.
Sometimes eat sashimi.
But yes, I saw her hand first. Yes.
I like to listen to these pods on my iPhone, on the Revolutionary Food Summit, and they interview different doctors. Dr. Furman says that we as diabetics should be eating much more fruit. That fruit actually has a lot of fiber in it, and it's not the bad sugar that you're drinking, say, fruit juice. But the fiber in fruit is really, it's acts as a resistant to the sugar.
Yeah, I would say, so when we're thinking about fruit, if we're thinking about like oranges and apples and even berries, they maybe have like for half a cup or a cup, maybe like 3 grams of fiber versus beans have a significantly larger amount. So even though, I mean, fruit fits in a healthy diet for sure, I would say if we really just sit and focus and make our goal to eat more fruit, our blood sugars will rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we see in clinic.
Well, if you're eating vegetables, just a vegetarian diet.
Yeah. And it's all about also looking at your total carbohydrates in your portions. And then also I always tell people, okay, so if you go to Starbucks or like pizza or something like that, and you're like, ooh, scone or banana on the side. And you go, oh, Leah said fruit, not too much fruit. I'm going to go with the scone. Like, that's not as good. So I would go with the banana. Definitely always choose the fruit over. But I would never encourage people to overly, like if they're not feeling like they're eating enough fruit to always, I got to push myself to eat more. I'd push more to eat more veggies. More veggies, yes.
I hear that tropical fruits are not good for the diet. They have more sugar, like mango, banana.
Yeah, they have a lot more carbohydrates. I would say.
Sugar.
Yeah, so I refer to them as carbohydrates, but sugar is a carbohydrate. Yeah, so a lot of fructose, but I would say the less ripe the fruit is, the more the carbohydrates or sugar hasn't converted into more available sugar. It's more resistant starches and you absorb it less. So if you do like a little bit more firm banana versus like a one with brown spots on it, it's not gonna raise your blood sugar as much. Yeah, over here, I think.
So here is the rice, right? Rice portion we have,
Yes.
right? Instead of rice, if I eat quinoa, right? Instead
Uh-huh.
of rice, if I put, because it has a protein, right?
Yeah.
So how much quantity we can eat? Because I'm a vegetarian guy. So what is the proportionate of,
Yeah, so if we look at the question of rice versus quinoa, so quinoa has complete protein in it. It still actually isn't that high in protein, but it's a complete protein, so it's all the amino acids to build muscle. So quinoa per cup cooked is about 42 grams of carbohydrate. Rice per cup cooked is around 45 to 50 grams of carbohydrate. So it's not a big carbohydrate difference, but quinoa has, going back to you, more fiber, and then it's a complete protein. So I'd say a cup. So a cup would fill that part of the plate a little bit more if you wanted quinoa and lentils or something, for example. You have 2 cups, 1 cup lentils, 1 cup quinoa.
Okay, good.
Yeah, yes.
So you were talking about 12 to 14 grams of protein a day. So how much?
Oh, no, like 64, 65 grams. So,
All right. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much protein does an apple get?
That guy is probably like 12,
So that's
12
about 12.
20-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about a fifth of.
Yeah. Or more. It might be like, that one might be like 20. Like, but the size of my hand is around 20. And 1 small egg is 6. 1 string cheese is 6. It adds up. Hemp seeds are very high in protein. You like that? Hemp seeds are high in protein as well. You can add those.
What about the new vegetables that look like they're using cauliflower for rice and cauliflower for
Yeah.
eggs? How do you stand on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how do I stand on the vegetables like cauliflower, rice, and things like that? I think the companies finally realized that all they have to do is chop cauliflower into little pieces and they can sell it for more expensive to make a lot of money off of it. But I'm a huge fan of cauliflower rice. It's really good. I make it at home all the time. Sometimes I make some rice into it, sometimes no rice, but I'm a huge fan. I think if we can get people who want to process food and make more money off of it, process it but still keep it as a whole vegetable,
Right.
it's great. Some of those things have a lot of additions to them, like they'll add sodium to them. So they have like a cauliflower rice savory, they add a lot of salt to that.
Yeah.
But if you just like, if you go to Trader Joe's, for example, they have rice cauliflower, just cauliflower pieces. Put it in a frying pan with a little bit of oil and lots of garlic, and it's great. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Okay, any other comments?
Yes.
Yes.
Big comment.
Okay, big comment.
Because you're measuring everything, and then when you try eating it, right? Maybe somebody should give me the exact portion to prepare, and that will be get better, right? How can you do that? Every time you have to measure everything what you eat in that case.
Oh, you don't need to measure. No, the point of this plate is that you don't have to measure. You just take your 9-inch plate and you fill half with vegetables, a quarter of protein, and a quarter of starch. If you don't have your fruit, you can have more starch on your plate. The point is that you don't have to measure.
But
I'm just giving you measurements because you were asking.
Proteins and then carbohydrates, you're giving some measurements.
No, just because people are asking. But my goal is that people just kind of visually eat. That you think about your plate kind of similar to this and then not worry about it. I would say that everyone in here is probably getting enough protein. Everyone's probably getting enough carbohydrates. But just kind of visualizing and thinking about it. People probably aren't getting enough veggies. It's kind of universally what people find, but
Just don't stack it.
just don't, you can stack the veggies.
What are your comments about sweet potato?
My comment? So sweet potatoes are a little bit more fibery. So they're a great addition. I love sweet potatoes. They would fit in your starch section. So I would say probably a whole sweet potato, they can get really big, probably like half, like a fist size. Yeah, it's a great option.
How about purple rice instead of brown rice? Is there any benefit one over the other?
I would say purple rice probably does raise your blood sugar a little bit more. Because purple rice originates more as a white rice, and then you add different things to it, like the beans and stuff, that make it more purple, but it starts as like a sticky rice. very glutinous. So I would say brown rice is probably better. But if you love purple rice, it's fine.
No, the purple rice is purple itself. Sometimes when you cook it.
But I think it's lower in fiber from what I found. But I mean, if it's what you like, just think about the portion, a quarter of your plate. Yes.
Oh, pumpkin.
Pumpkin's great. It's like sweet potato. Yeah, still starch. What?
It's really good, like instead of rice.
It has a lot of vitamins and minerals. It's very healthy. Yeah. But you're right. It would still classify as like a starch. So it would go on the rice section. Yeah. Great. You guys have such a fun diet.
Rice versus potatoes?
No, so this is really interesting. I was reading a study the other day. N was like not very large, like population size. But they were looking at the gut biome and looking at how different people reacted to different types of carbohydrates. So some people actually did have lower blood sugars with rice versus potatoes. Some people lower with potatoes. So I would say we're finding more. It actually is a little individualized. So I would check because it also depends how you are absorbing and digesting. But is that going to be the big thing? Like if you're always 250 after a meal, is that going to get you under 180? It's portions that's going to get you under 180. But people do metabolize carbohydrates a little bit differently. In that way, they're finding out with their gut biome. But I think it probably makes like a 10-point difference, not a huge nominal difference. But so I can't really answer that. So I can't say exactly which is better. But portions, yes.
How do you think about having it spike your blood sugar and then go down more infusion? Like, does that happen?
Yeah, we're finding out more too. So we see this more, probably not for people in here, because I think to qualify for the study, you can't be on insulin. So normally when people are on insulin, sometimes insulin will, they'll have that more dramatic dip. Or if they're on sulfonylureas. Can you be on sulfonylureas in the study? Like diagonal, right? Okay, so maybe if you're on a sulfonylurea, you might see more of a dramatic drop. But most people, if you're on like a metformin or like GLP-1 or something like that, you're not going to see like the big drops because you're not overstimulating your pancreas to put out more extra insulin. But you can see big spikes if you have like a lot of desserts or higher, more readily available sweets. If you eat bananas that are very brown.
Right. Would you recommend a spike in a very low dip or
I would say it's better to be a little bit more kind of rolling. So nobody's really going to eat and stay flat. That's not how the body works. But more of a rolling and less of a spike and a drop. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Yeah.
The glass of red wine would have been allowed.
Yeah, so the thought kind of on wine and alcohol. So wine's actually really low in carbohydrates. If you're on metformin, you don't want to have more than like a glass of wine at a time, I would say. But wine can actually make you go a little bit low if you don't eat it with have it with enough food sometimes. And we don't recommend that people start drinking if they're not already drinking. But if you're used to having a glass of wine with dinner, it's fine to continue from a diabetes standpoint, but you don't want to start. Where was my vodka man? Somewhere over here. Yeah, that's kind of what I would say from kind of the recommendations in general. But if you're going to drink and you're drinking things with low carbohydrates, like wine, any kind of wine except like ports and gewürztraminer, or like if you're drinking hard alcohol, you should watch for low blood sugars because alcohol is metabolized in your liver. And that's also kind of where metformin works. So some people can get lows versus normally would not. Yes.
I don't drink. I eat the half of the plate. My sugar is 100
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be individualized. And there's a lot of different factors. Yeah. I mean, that's why, we have one-on-one appointments I can see you, one-on-one, but it also depends too, even such things as like, if you overcook your rice or your pasta, it's kind of more mushy, raise your blood sugar higher faster. If you're testing your blood sugar not at 2 hours post, you'll see higher blood sugars. Like if you test your blood sugar at 1 hour post, you'll see higher blood sugars typically than 2 hour post. Yes?
If you test sugar on the left finger and the right finger, exactly.
Yeah.
He said you got a sweetheart.
So I would say when you're thinking, if you're someone who likes to know the same answer, like if maybe you're a scientist or an engineer, never test your blood sugar with the different meters off of the same drop of blood. They will never be the same. So when we look at meters, they can have variability. And so some meters are up to like 15 points difference. And so even if you so there's a reaction from the test strip. So when you put blood on it, a current is set and then it reacts. I think it's like co-oxidase. It's like an enzyme. And then that gives the result. So even if you use 2 different test strips off the same drop of blood, you get a different number, but it should be close. So never do those tests. It will drive you crazy. Yes?
I'm thinking about what sugar alcohols, does that affect anything else besides sugar?
Yeah, that's a great question. So sugar alcohols are like sorbitol, xylitol, erythritol. So it's actually really interesting. So they're counted as something that won't raise your blood sugar. You can actually buy xylitol in the store and add it to things. And it basically says that they say it won't raise your blood sugar. But half of it is absorbed as carb. So if you have something with a lot of sugar alcohols, you'll get a lot of GI upset and then your blood sugars will still rise. Because what happens is half the molecule goes into your guts as kind of very whole. And the bacteria feed off of it with this. It's almost like they have a birthday cake in their gut, like more complete sugars than they normally get. So they get really excited and you get a lot of gastric bloating and diarrhea. And then the other side goes into your bloodstream and raises your sugar. So sugar alcohols normally, half of them will raise. So if there's 10 grams, 5 of them would be would contribute to the carbohydrates of raising sugar. Yeah.
So
it's like 50%. And then the other half might cause some GI upset. Like, has anyone ever seen sugar-free chocolates or sugar-free gummies? 1 second. Those? They normally have sugar alcohols in them. So if you eat a lot of them, you can have a lot of negative side effects. Yeah.
I'm on the weight training program, and I'm very happy with that. But I've seen something which is kind of confusing me. Before I start, my glucose, let's say 137, 140. And after weight training program, it drops to 97, 100. What does that mean? And sometimes it's high, like 110 or 90. Then after weight training program, it goes up by 10 or 20 points. So I don't know, I can't make sense of it.
Yeah. So I would say the other day we had this an author come and speak to one of our diabetes classes, and he had compiled a list with everybody, and they found 42 things that affect your blood sugar. So I'd say maybe some days you're less hydrated, maybe that's affecting your blood sugar. Maybe some days you're more stressed, that might affect your blood sugar. Maybe your test strip, if it's only at 10 points off, it's hard to gauge. Maybe the medications that you're on are dropping. When you work your muscles, your sugars tend to drop. Sometimes they'll raise immediately after working out, depending on how aggressive. If you're kind of letting off stress hormones, your blood sugars will raise and then they'll fall, like within the hour. So it's hard to say day by day unless we keep a really tight journal and we can kind of predict maybe.
During weight training program, would you recommend that you go through, if you can, go through, very fast if you can, and not have a break in between, or it is nice to have a steady weight training program and then have a break in between?
I think it's kind of whatever you prefer, but I would vote more for steady because I think steady is just better. You're more concentrating on what you're doing versus trying to get to do things really fast, putting out more adrenaline. But I would say steady. But I mean, you can consult with them, and whatever they prefer for the study is fine.
Do you have an opinion on hair biopsy?
Oh, yeah, I've never actually used one. Do you add any oil, or is it?
I was considering purchasing one because my husband and I do enjoy some fried foods, but that's my concern. Do they really lower the fat by using hot air?
I'm not sure like how they're, I can research and get back to you. I can let you know, because I know you, yeah. Does anyone know, do you add oil to a hot air fryer and then it spins around, or is it zero oil?
Zero.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great.
Tastes different.
Tastes different? Oh, okay. Maybe you can find the recipe and share it with everyone. Yeah, that's great. I think that's great, yes. Yeah.
So
Sorry, I don't know.
actually, measure, the lab. It's after meal, it's 1 hour or 2 hours?
2 hours.
Or 2 hours.
Yeah. The only time we really measure 1 hour is if you're pregnant. We're pregnant when we ask for the 1 hour. Blood sugar will pretty typically be higher at 1 hour post. But we're kind of measuring at 2 hours to see if your blood sugar can come back down. Because 1 hour tends to be more of this peak of your carbohydrates.
Does weed have it?
Oh, you mean like cannabis?
Yeah.
So I can't give you a good answer on that because I haven't really seen the studies. I would ask your primary care provider on that one. Yeah. Yes.
Morning walk, you suggest you should take the breakfast first, then do the walking, or you should do the walking and then come home and eat?
You guys have such good questions. So the question is, before breakfast, walk and then eat, or eat and then walk. I would say whatever you want. Fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. If you want to eat something before and go, if you want to wait, it's fine.
What about baby and milk?
What about it?
Milk, is the milk allowed or no?
Yeah, you can have milk. Milk has lactose in it, so per cup, like 8 ounces, like if you look at my cup, like here is probably 8 ounces, it's 12 grams of carb. It's just factored in. Like if you love milk, then don't have your half piece of fruit and just have a glass of milk instead. That's fine. So I think this, you get to work with it however you want. Milk's a
What
protein
about
too.
cheese?
Yeah, cheese.
Cheese is a higher protein than milk, like more piece.
It depends on what kind of cheese. I tend to lean more towards like string cheeses and low-fat cheeses in general versus like a double cream brie or something like that because it's more just fat and less protein. Yeah, some people like farmer's cheese, cottage cheese is great, all those things. Okay, next slide.
Last.
Yes.
I have a granddaughter,
Mm-hmm.
and my kids feed them with the 0 to fat meal. How do you do it right?
I mean, I work with adults is probably where I'm the best suited to do that. The recommendations for peace change. I can only keep up to date with one population, adults with diabetes, yeah. Okay, next slide. Okay, so building strength. So this is something you all are doing through the study, but this is also a great thing. So when we look at exercise in general, if your goal is to lose weight, exercise helps you maintain the weight you've lost. So say you've been losing weight, you've lost 5 pounds, and then you're consistently exercising, and say you have a weekend where it's a big celebration. Say it's New Year's or your birthday or something, and you eat a lot more calories and you eat cake and you eat all these other things, and you continue through all of it, your standard consistent exercise. You're less likely to gain the weight back from that weekend of higher calories. If you were not exercising and you had that weekend, you would probably gain half the pounds you lost back. And so you weigh yourself on Monday, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm only down like 2 pounds or 1 pound. So exercise helps you maintain the weight you've lost. Exercise lowers blood sugar significantly. So I have a lot of patients who put exercise into their daily routine, and that really helps them to keep their A1C under 7. Because when you exercise, you actually, there is kind of a receptor that goes to the cell membrane, and that receptor helps you absorb glucose, bring it out of your blood and storing it in your muscles where it's needed. So exercise is excellent for diabetes management. It's great for heart health, for lowering your cholesterol, things like that. So this is also maybe a goal you guys might want to think about. But I would say the biggest thing is being consistent. So doing whatever you can do that's consistent. And so with the studies, they maybe randomized to 3 times per week, trying to really keep that up. When the study is over, continuing that, right? So how long is the study?
9 months.
9 months?
9 or 6 months.
6 or 9. Okay, so if you have to do something for 6 or 9 months, at the end of the time, I mean, I'm sure it will fly by, continuing up those habits.
Maybe we should take picture now, everybody's picture.
Pardon?
We should take a picture of everybody, that we can see.
Yeah, we can do a muscle picture. Yeah, but keeping the consistency. So while you're in the study, you can get things like, I guess, blood pressure cuffs, which is great. But also just innately just finding the consistency of working out.
You know, what is these bands? I never saw.
Oh, those are resistance bands. They're like $5, and you can just get them and use your own body weight. Because I think exercising, it doesn't have to be. I know you guys, yeah, perfect. Oh, you get them for free here? Oh my gosh. I need to join this study. I want all these fun things.
They're researching on us, madam.
Pardon?
They're researching on us.
Yeah, me too. So you can get a resistance band and use them at home, but they're great. And you don't use exercise. I know you guys get gym memberships, but I mean, when the study is over, you can even use your resistance band that you get for free here. And you don't have to pay anything. You can go on a walk. You can do all these things. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be if you like to be fancy, but you don't have to. So building strength.
If you want to live longer, we should live.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there is no.
Yeah.
You have to.
And even measuring, like if you take your A1C and you start the exercise, I think through the study, they're measuring A1Cs, look at the changes. I mean, it's a really great thing. And then it's also better for your heart health and better for everything. It's like one of those things, there's not a lot of things in the world that you can do one thing and affect all these different things. And exercise and eating vegetables.
Madam, I had one thing. What is the keto diet? Everybody says, I don't know what is that.
Wait, pardon?
The keto diet. Everybody says, I'm on keto diet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so thinking about the ketogenic diet, so it's a really low carbohydrate diet, like 50 grams. So when your body is restricted of carbohydrates, after a day or 2 days, your brain needs glucose. And so without any glucose, once you've used all your muscle glycogen stores and everything, it will start breaking down your fat tissue and making something called a ketone body. The ketone bodies will help fuel your brain and help kind of be used and replace the glucose. I would say typically 50 grams of carbohydrates. Like if we look, can you go back one? If we look at this, like this orange is probably like 15 grams of carbohydrate. And then if you look at the rice and beans, that's like probably 35 to 40. So that would be all the carbohydrates in the entire day that you can have. So it's really restrictive. I will say it's also a really high fat diet. So a lot of patients that have elevated LDL cholesterol, low density lipoprotein, that kind of want lower, their LDLs tend to really shoot up because overall they have so much more fat because you've taken out, so we only have 3 macronutrients. We have carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. We basically take out all carbohydrates. You have to count grams of carbs in broccoli even. So even of your vegetables. So you're left with 2, protein and fat. So people just tend to really raise their cholesterol levels too because they only have 2 things to keep them full now, is what we found. So people that are at greater risk for heart disease, it's probably something I would discourage. But if someone in general, like if they're following with a dietitian and they want to try something and a doctor, I mean, you can. I just be taking your lipid values.
Maybe once you stop the keto diet, will you go back to elimination?
So say you're, actually you can't have any fruit on the keto diet because it will kick you out of it. But say you have 50 grams of carbs, no fruit, and you have half an apple, you're out of the keto diet because the body really wants to use glucose. So as soon as it gets some pretty ready sources of glucose, it's going to kick you out. You can't have any rice will kick you out of it. And then it takes like 3 days to get back into it.
I had a question. The vegetables are salty.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, and this is too spicy. Is it done purposely?
Oh, I
This is
don't
very,
know.
very spicy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure.
Because the red pepper is good for you, but very slowly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can let the restaurant know. Yeah. Oh wait, go back to the next slide. Does that answer your question? I mean, there's a lot of different fad diets. I'd say in general, we always end up going back to the diet, the plate that I showed you. Oh wait, one more slide.
Oh, there you go.
Questions?
My items have come.
Pardon?
My items.
Oh, so, and then also thinking about creating more food awareness. So reading labels, thinking about all the spices that you can add to flavor your foods instead of adding salt. Thinking about spending time devoting time to researching recipes, like going on different blogs and trying a different way. I know they do a really great job about always trying to get different foods for you to try when you come to have speakers come. And so just kind of thinking about maybe tonight some of the spices were really delicious, so maybe think about including those in your own diet. Trying a meal that focuses mostly on vegetables, just once, see how it goes, and then trying a new spice. Next slide. Okay, and then I think you have to advance like 3 times. Okay, so who brought nutrition fact labels?
What?
Food labels?
I forgot.
Anyone? One? Yeah? Okay, so if you brought one, bring it out. You might have to share with a lot of people. Does anyone have one? Okay, it's okay. So when you're at home, so when you go home, you can think about looking at maybe your favorite snack or favorite food. And this is what the nutrition facts look like now. What do you all look at?
Sodium.
Sugar. Sodium. Fat. Carbohydrates. Cholesterol. Okay. Trans fats.
Calories.
Okay. What's the number one thing you should look at first? Sodium, sugar. What else? Calories, carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates.
Fiber.
Trans fat.
Serving size. Excellent. So you should always first look at serving size because it's going to tell you. So have you ever picked up like a bag of popcorn like that seems very single serving and then they say 2? Right. So you look at the sodium or the carbohydrates or whatever you're looking at and you're like, oh, that's in the range that I want to find. And then you eat the whole bag and then you're like, oh my gosh, that was double. I'm double over. So you always want to look at servings per container. I would say calories are a great thing to look at, especially if you're thinking about losing weight. Fat can be really helpful, especially saturated fat if you're thinking about reducing your cholesterol. I heard trans fats. So trans fats are tricky though because you need to look at the ingredients. So if there's anything that says partially hydrogenated fats, then you must also, that means that they're trans fats. So they passed a labeling law, I think in like maybe 5 to 8 years ago. And so if it's 0.5 grams or less per serving, then they can list it as 0. So they get to round down. So say you have your serving size is like for 1 bag, there's 4 servings and it says 0, but now you're at 2 grams of trans fats. You know, trans fats are really hard on your heart. Sodium is great. I would say if you're looking at, instead of sugar, sugar's a good thing to look at, but total carbohydrates are probably the best thing. Yes?
This high.
Yeah. Oh, 37? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this, I think this might be ice cream, actually. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure. And so looking at total carbohydrates, because that's going to turn into sugar in your body. Yes. Oh, thank you. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. We have a label. Whole rye bread. So, who wants to tell me first what the serving size is? Oh, they already said it. So 1 slice. 1 slice? Okay, what else do you want to know about this label?
Sugar.
Oh, you guys still want to know sugar? Okay, 3 grams. What else do you want to know before you look at sugar?
Sodium.
Carbohydrates, yeah. 24 grams of carbohydrate in 1 slice.
Fiber.
Fiber? 7 grams of fiber. Yeah, whole rye bread. Okay, 7 grams. That's a lot. Do you think the bread is fluffy and airy or dense and dense? Yeah. Dense and hard. So have you ever made an open-faced sandwich? You good bread to make an open-faced sandwich with. Or, I mean, if you want 2 slices, you'd be at 48 grams. Not that high. And then what else did you want to know about the bread?
Protein.
Oh, 3 grams.
3 grams, yes.
What else? Trans fats? There's no trans fats.
Sodium.
Sodium, 300 milligrams.
Wow.
That's
a lot.
If your whole day, you have like 2,300 milligrams per day. In
So
general.
you're saying that only one slice of bread is
For
that
this.
particular?
Yeah.
So why do they do the toasters with 2 or 4?
Every bread is different. You get to make.
You want tasty food.
But that's good. So I would also say, so looking at this, for example, if you read it, it also, so in yellow it says all natural, which sounds really great. It says all natural ingredients, no preservatives added, no artificial flavors or colors. So it kind of draws your eye more towards this versus where the meat of the information is here. So it would, yes.
How about the trans fat? Is it something? But any other thing added there?
No, good, yeah, no, there's none.
Okay.
So they want you to look at this before you look at the nutrition facts. I mean, I would say that in general, I mean, this is fine, it just depends on how you want to add it to your day. But you're right. So if you're someone who likes a lot of slices, then I would get probably a less dense bread. But if you like a meaty sandwich, like a meaty piece of bread, an open-faced sandwich is a great choice. But thinking about, you always want to go to the nutrition facts and the ingredients. So they're going to try to trick you sometimes and say all natural or things, so you're not really looking at kind of what the numbers are. You really do want to think about the numbers. Like for example, peanut butter always says cholesterol-free food on it. So I tell people peanuts, any plant-based food is by nature cholesterol-free. So no cholesterol fits in plant cell membranes, only animal cell membranes. So they're gonna try to put all the stuff on the label that seems really great, but you always have to go back to the nutrition facts, I would say, yes.
Number 4, get enough of this while including sugar. So sugar, the more the better or?
Sorry, pardon?
The sugar.
Yeah.
Get enough of the. So why sugar you get enough of?
That's under limit.
That means
Sugar's
protein,
stress.
vitamin A, vitamin
Yeah,
C,
but,
calcium.
sugar.
Yeah. So sugar, 1 gram.
But that's under.
Why get enough of these?
He's in the.
Oh, I think they're more meaning fiber. You can take out the sugar part. Yeah. No, good eye. It's more related to dietary fiber and vegetables and protein.
Whole grain is better than multigrain.
Yeah, this is whole grain. So if you look at the ingredients, it's a whole rye grain, water, rye flour, salt, yeast, and oat fiber.
Should I eat this bread or not?
Yeah, sure. You can have it. I wouldn't have like 3 slices, but you can have it. Yes. In the back.
Oh, okay. So can you talk a little bit about why they don't have a % daily value for your sugars?
Yeah, it's probably more of like a company thing. So there's a lot of like sugar lobbyists. So I will say in general, like women should have no more than 24, men should have no more than 32 grams in a day. Just really hard to do.
Leah?
Yes.
Sorry.
I know. I was like, I think we're at 7. You guys have so many questions. But you have this right here, and these are, so if you do want to look at kind of the bold words, this is what they mean. You want to have that.
How many grams are in 1 cup of, or just for 2/3 cup is 65 grams? How many grams are in? I have a hard time visualizing how much of 3 grams.
That's why I would go by parts.
2/3 of a cup.
2/3 of a cup.
Sometimes it just says grams.
Yeah, they're moving away from that with a new label and trying to put more easily measurable. Next slide.
Madam, I think you are in close. What is the best oil to use?
Next slide.
Okay,
Or,
yeah.
I think, yes, pardon?
What is the best oil for cooking?
Depends on what you're cooking.
No, not like that. I wanted a particular answer.
I would
Whether
say
it's olive
avocado
oil,
oil is a great oil to use at high heat and low heat.
Anything,
Avocado.
for anything.
Yeah. Okay, so at the beginning of the presentation, talked about thinking about one change, right? So we've listed a lot. We've talked about a lot of different things. You guys have so many good questions. So know that small changes make a big difference. So every time you go and work out, it makes a big difference. Also, even doing things like maybe adding 1 cup of vegetables extra to one meal in your day makes a big difference over the week. Thinking about if you love to have juice, having less juice makes a big difference. Walking 10 minutes daily adds up to 70 minutes per week. So all these things make a big difference. So it might seem small in the day in the movement, but it will make a big difference. Next slide. Yes.
So the question I have is when you're buying quick foods like grapes or cherries or blueberries, how do you just look at as the number of individual units, or do you measure by cup?
I would measure by cup if you're looking at like individual like grapes and stuff like that. Typically like a cup is a serving.
Okay.
Half a cup to a cup, it depends. Yeah. I feel like for everyone here, probably a cup is fine. Half a cup gets really small. Okay, so this is kind of one of the last things that I'll leave you with. So thinking about, when you think about goals, we always try to, I know I mentioned there's lots of different paths, so if you don't like this path, then you can choose a different one, but it's evidence-based. So thinking about really making a specific, tangible goal, something that you really can do, something you can start today, tonight, tomorrow morning, and really kind of put it to the test. Is it something you want to do? Do you know that you can do it? Is it in your power to accomplish it? So say maybe you're thinking, oh, I want to change everything about dinner, but you have a spouse that doesn't want to change everything about dinner. So maybe you don't have complete power over that. Can you realistically achieve it? And then when do you want to accomplish it by? So I would say think about that, and then also these are some resources which you have that I tend to kind of go to. So I think for everyone here, there's an app called Health eDiabetes. So there's something called the Joslin Diabetes Center in Boston, and they created an app, and the app helps you track blood sugar and diet and food, and it's kind of a nice thing versus MyFitnessPal, FitMe are more just for the general population, but this is more specific to diabetes. Some people really like FitMe. It's an app. It has pictures of plates, and then you can compare how much you eat to the plate if you want to track. And then these are some websites that I like to go to that have evidence-based material.
There's a 24-Go app. You guys put 24-Go, 24-hour fitness, and they actually will tell you half hour before your workout that it's time to go, and you work on a food plan as well. So 24 hours.
So 24-hour Go. We should put that. Oh wait, next slide. And then this is just my last slide that you can read when, as you go through, but it's just kind of some ideas that I thought of. So if this side is what you have been eating, these are some alternatives to improve your health. Next slide. And that's it. And I think I was 5 minutes over.